verse 49. Please repeat. Bhavans tu pumsaham paramasya mayaya. Bhavams tu pumsa paramasya mayaya. Durantayam asprishtam matihi samastam drik durantasya prishtamati samastadrik tayam hatatmasu anukarmam chitasu tasya hatatmasu anukarma chetasu anugraham kartum iharhasi prabho anugraham kartum iharhasi prabho bhavam stupumsa paramasya mayayam durantayas prishtamati samastadrik taya hatatmasu anukarma chetasu anugraham kartum iharhasi prabho. Hatatmasu anukarma chetasu anugraham kartum iharhasi prabho. Bhavamstu pumsa paramasya mayaya duranstaya prishtamati samastadrik taya hatasma sanukarma chetasu anugraham kartum iharhasi prabho. Ladies. Bhavamstu pumsa paramasya mayaya Thank you very much. Please repeat word by word. Bhavan, your lordship. Tu, but. Pumsaha, of the person. Paramasya, the supreme. Mayaya, by the material energy. Durantaya, of great potency. Aprishta, unaffected. Asprishta, unaffected. Matihi, intelligence. Samastadrik, seer or knower of everything. Taya, by the same illusory energy. Hata Atmasu, bewildered at heart. Anukarma Chetasu, whose hearts are attracted by fruitive activities. Anugraham, mercy. Kartum, to do. Iha, in this case. Arhasi, desire. Prabho, O Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. My dear Lord, you are never bewildered by the formidable influence of the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, you are omniscient and should be merciful and compassionate toward those who are bewildered by the same illusory energy and are very much attached to fruitive activities. Purport. A Vaishnava is never bewildered by the influence of the external energy because he is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The Lord states in the Bhagavad Gita 7:14, Daivye shagunamai mamamaya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. My divine energy, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. A Vaishnava should take care of those who are bewildered by this Maya instead of becoming angry with them, because without the Vaishnava's mercy they have no way to get out of the clutches of Maya. Those who have been condemned by Maya are rescued by the mercy of the devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhuvyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees who can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Those who are under the influence of the illusory energy are attracted to fruitive activities, but the Vaishnava preacher attracts their hearts to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Yanang Yana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shriyuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Namo Prabhupada Priyarasaya Jaganata Yatrananda Murtaye Bhakta Sukaya Krishna Kirtanena Nisinghena Rakshataya Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jayatam Surato Pangor Mamamanda Matirgati Matsarvasva Padambojo Radhamadana Mohano Divyat Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Shrimadratangara Simhasanasto Śrīmad-Radha Srila Govinda Deva Uprashtalivi Samamana Smarami Śrīmanra Sarasarambi Vamsiva Tatatastitaha Karsham Veno Smanar Gopir Gopinata Shriyastanaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopipakanta Radhakanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Suta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Once again the verse. Vavamstu pumsa paramasya mayaya durantyas prishtamati samastadrik taya hatatmasu anukarma chetasu anugraham kartum iharhasi prabho. My dear Lord, you are never bewildered by the formidable influence of the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore you are omniscient and should be merciful and compassionate toward those who are bewildered by the same illusory energy and are very much attached to fruitive activities. Hare Krishna. So this is Lord Brahma talking to Lord Shiva. Lord Brahma is addressing Shiva as Prabhu, and actually Prabhu is a very very respectful way to address somebody. Prabhu also means master. And very often in different songs, Sanskrit but also Bengali or Hindi songs, the Lord is addressed as Prabhu, Prabhu. Or in this case, Shiva, of course, can also be addressed as Prabhu. And so therefore Prabhu doesn't just mean hey dude, what are you doing? Sometimes because in ISKCON we have, you could say, a Sanskritized English we use, but sometimes we don't fully understand the Sanskrit words we use. It's like, hey Prabhu, come here, do this for me, you know. But actually Prabhu is very respectful, and here Brahma is addressing Shiva as Prabhu. And this is related to the previous verse, and in the previous verse Lord Brahma was saying that somebody who is a transcendentalist, somebody who has knowledge, they are always very merciful towards those who are bewildered. So this is a very important point, that somebody who is awakened should have mercy or compassion with those who are bewildered. That makes sense. So, for example, if you are an adult and you see a child, you know, who is bewildered, confused in some way, even the child might be behaving, you know, very stubbornly or aggressive, maybe even, or, you know, throwing a tantrum, you know, you still remain compassionate, you know, because you just see this, there's some difficulty. Or in a similar way, if somebody is mentally disabled, maybe, you know, and they might, you know, there are some diseases where you can't control your reflex of talking and saying things, you know. I forgot what the name of this condition is, but you've heard about it for sure. They can't control it, you know? So they will start, you know, cursing or saying really, you know, disgusting words. But if you know they have a condition, you won't take any offense. You know? You will laugh about it, you know. And of course, if it's part of the family, you get used to it, and you always, you know, are very compassionate. If somebody doesn't know, they might be confused, you know, and they might be thinking they're being insulted. So in a similar way, the point that Brahma is saying is that somebody who has spiritual knowledge has a lot of compassion for those who are bewildered by the insurmountable energy of the Lord. You know? So this was the verse that Srila Prabhupada quoted here, Daiviyesha Gunamai, Mama Maya Duratyaya. So this Mama Maya, this energy of the Lord, is ultimately Krishna's energy. It's spiritual energy. Even it's working as an external energy, and it's deviating people, confusing people, putting people in illusion. Because this energy belongs to Krishna, it's insurmountable. Mama Maya Duratyaya. This energy is insurmountable. And therefore, because it's insurmountable, the only way to overcome it is through Krishna. We cannot overcome this energy through our own endeavors. This is very clear from this verse. Daiviyesha Gunamai. This is a godly energy, divine energy. It's my energy, it's insurmountable. But by those who take shelter of me, they can very easily overcome it. So this is the, you could say, the secret. But before you can reach that level that you really overcome it, the first point is that we understand that this energy, there's a different, you could say, relationship with the problem if you understand it. If you are confused about the problem, then you are really you're really in trouble. But if you understand what the problem is, then you already can think of a solution. A very good example for this is when you're swimming in the ocean. Sometimes there's rip currents. So a rip current will pull you away from the beach. So it's basically in 90 degree towards the beach, and it's pulling outwards. And sometimes a very strong current. So the first reaction, if you don't know, might be you try to swim against it. You're trying to swim back to the beach, and you will never win because it's a very strong current. So you will become very exhausted, and in the worst case, you will drown. So, but if you understand that it's a rip current, you swim with it, and you swim to the side, and then you can escape it. So, like that, if you try to swim, if you try to work against, material energy, if you try to overcome material energy by your own endeavor, it's not a very good proposition. You will not be successful. Material energy is too powerful. But if we understand that this energy ultimately is not opposed to us, it's only opposed to us because we are opposed to it, or we are opposed to the entire grand scheme of reality. We are opposed to the idea that there is a supreme person. We are opposed to the idea that we should serve. We are opposed to so many things that are reality, and we are trying to, like Govinda Prabhu sometimes says, we are developing our own God projects. How to become God ourselves, how to control, how to enjoy, how to manipulate. So if we let go of this and we understand that actually this material energy is Daivyesha. Because sometimes in the Western world we have this very strong idea of Satan being the opponent of God. And he is almost like equally powerful, and if you're deceived by Satan, then you're lost. But our understanding is much more holistic, because we understand very clearly that Maya Devi, even she, Prabhupada sometimes says, if you start spiritual life, it's a declaration of war on Maya. So, but if you declare war on Maya, how will you win? So it's a paradox. You cannot really win, but you can win if you understand that actually you are in the same camp. And Prabhupada explains it in a different way also. There's a very famous verse where in the Bhagavatam, the lotus feet of Krishna are described, or the analogy is given that they are like a ship that can help us cross the ocean of material existence. And then it is said that this ship is always available. This ship is always available. This lotus feet of Krishna are always available. Even this ocean is gigantic and insurmountable. For those who take shelter of that ship, or the lotus feet of Krishna, this gigantic ocean of material existence shrinks to the size of an imprint of a calf, small. So therefore, in this analogy, Srila Prabhupada says, the ship never leaves. The ship is always there. It doesn't need to go anywhere, because the lotus feet of Krishna, even they're like a ship, apparently waiting at the shore of this gigantic ocean. In reality, supreme transcendence is much more, you could say, by power, by intensity, by grandeur, greater than the material energy. Nothing can be greater than the Lord. So therefore, this apparent insurmountable material ocean, full of difficulties, samsara. Samsara, we sing every morning, Samsarada Vanaladida Loka. It's the first song we need to sing every morning. This samsara is described to be like a forest fire. But samsara is everything we experience in this world, all the different living entities, all the different experiences we have, great, astonishing, and beautiful, but at the same time terrifying. This world can look so beautiful, like a meadow, for example. Looks so beautiful, so many flowers and herbs, but if you look closer, there's a war going on. All these insects, somebody's carrying somebody's leg, and they are carrying it and consuming it and fighting against each other. So in a similar way, this entire universe looks so beautiful. It's such an amazing creation, but if you look in the detail, there's a lot of trouble also inside. So this is samsara. Samsara is astonishing. It's great. So many different living forms. According to the revelations that we get from the Bhagavatam, there are 8,400,000 different species of life. And in the second canto of the Bhagavatam, all the different species are counted individually also. I forgot the detail, but I think it was like 1.1 million are insects, 400,000 are humans. What else? Somebody remembers? Aquatics, 1 million. And I forgot the rest, unfortunately. But it's quantified exactly how many of each of these living species are there. And we might think this is just an estimation or some idea, but actually it's even scientists have noticed that this number is very very interesting. This number given in the Vedas. Once I was reading a magazine in German. It's called Geo. It's something like National Geographic in Germany, Geo. And this magazine was talking about this national park in South America. This is called Manu National Park. It's in Peru, and they call it Manu because Manu in the Vedic text is the one of the Prajapatis, who populates the universe. So they call this national park Manu because specifically in this national park and also in some areas in Southeast Asia and also in Central Africa, these are the places where the most variety of entities, living entities. And there they find so many living entities, different species, every single day, dozens and hundreds, depending how many scientists they have. Every day they can find new living species, and they document them and write them down. And they also have realized that it seems that many of the living species, they go extinct before they even can find them. And they were counting. So this is maybe 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago when I was reading this. And at that point, they had counted globally 2.8 million different species of life. So they were saying 2.8 million species of life. And then they said, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, is giving the number of 8,400,000. They directly referred to the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, by name. And they were saying that different calculations had reached similar numbers. So some one estimation, they had reached an estimation of there must be around 12 million, different species. But most calculations were pointing towards between 8 and 9 million species. So they were very astonished that in the Vedas, and specifically Srila Prabhupada propagated this idea very widely. And not only that also there was divided into the sections, how many insects, how many aquatics, how many birds, how many humans. And they also even talked about the proposition that because they realized that many entities went extinct before they could classify them, they realized that somehow there is you could say universal data, of living entities. Sometimes we get very confused that life is only possible in this planet. But according to the Vedas, life is possible everywhere, sarvagata, in all conditions, because the soul is not dependent on oxygen and a temperature between 5 degrees and 30 degrees and a humidity between 60 and 120. The soul is not dependent on that. Our current body might be dependent on these living conditions, but even in this planet we find different entities that have very extreme living conditions. In the deep sea or in volcanoes, you will find beetles that can crawl on lava, and they are fish living in the deep sea where it's completely dark and cold and there's so much pressure, but still they can survive. So there is plenty of proof that life is possible outside of our human, common average experience. That's the idea Srila Prabhupada proposes in the one of his first book, the Easy Journey to Other Planets. That the body is according to the atmosphere of the planets. So if you're living on planet Earth, your body will be predominantly water and earth. And if you're living in the sun planet, your body must be predominant fire. So these 8 elements, come in a different composition. And already in this planet we can see different, living entities have a different, composition. Already different humans have a different composition. There's Kapha, Vata, and Pitta. Some people have more fire element in their body, and they never freeze. Even in the winter they can go around with little cloth. Other people have, very easily they accumulate fats. They're always chubby and strong. So there's more earth, more water. So different bodies, different atmospheres, different circumstances. So the point what I'm trying to point towards is that there are living entities beyond this planet, in other atmospheres, in other areas. That's for sure the proposition of the Vedas. So this 8,400,000 species are not limited to this planet. They are within the material creation. That's how many different species are there. So within this Shri Prahlad Lakshmana Singh Bhagwan Ki Jai. So within this material reality, within the samsara cycle, we are to some extent on autopilot. We are only remotely involved. We desire and we accept and reject, but ultimately we are very much predictable how we will accept and reject. So therefore our free will is not really manifested. So that's the idea that Brahma is putting here, that the people in this material world, they are not really consciously making a mistake. And in Christianity, of course, Jesus Christ proposes that we should judge the sin, not the sinner. So that's the same idea, that if somebody behaves in a very bad way, you should not accept it. You should not say, okay, that's okay, or try to rationalize it why maybe it's okay. You can't say it's not okay, but that doesn't mean you hate the person. You should still be able to have compassion towards the actual person. Because if somebody's behaving in a bad way, oh, Hare Krishna. If somebody's behaving in a bad way, it's actually very pitiable. It's very pitiable. And sometimes it's very obvious, when somebody without much reason, gets annoyed or disturbed and angry, and they might even attack you, So, of course, it's not so easy to always remain aloof and compassionate when you are directly attacked. If you are in danger, the instinct will be to protect yourself. But especially as Vaishnavas, as devotees, we practice a very deep level of compassion towards aggressors. And it's exemplified by Prahlad Maharaj, but also by Haridas Thakur. He was unfairly chastised and whipped in so many marketplaces, and he had no grudge against the executors. So this is a clear sign of somebody who is exhibiting that character, that Brahma is appealing to Lord Shiva. Also Prahlad Maharaj, his father tried to kill him in so many different ways. And Prahlad Maharaj knew, of course, that his father is trying to do it. His father directly at the end tried to decapitate him, personally. And when Lord Nrsingadev asked Prahlad Maharaj to ask for a wish, he didn't have any wish for himself. And when Nrsingadev insisted that he should ask for something, Prahlad Maharaj asked for the liberation of his father. Please forgive my father. Not only his father, all materialists. Prahlad Maharaj extended this desire or this blessing to all those materialists who are in this world bewildered, and through this bewilderment, working against their best self-interests. So I'll shortly read this section here, so you know what I'm trying to talk, just summarizing. So here Lord Brahma is saying to Lord Shiva, "My dear Lord, if in some places materialists who are already bewildered by the insurmountable illusory energy of the Supreme Godhead sometimes commit offenses, a saintly person with compassion does not take this seriously. Knowing that they commit offenses because they are overpowered by illusory energy, he does not show his prowess to counteract them." So, yes, compassion. Like Srila Prabhupada also, he came to the West and he was living in the middle of the Bowery, Lower East Side in New York, and at that time all young people basically were experimenting with drugs. And one of the first persons he was staying with, he had a complete overdose, and he went completely crazy, was screaming at Prabhupada, attacked Srila Prabhupada, and of course, Srila Prabhupada knew beforehand that he had this condition, but still he was compassionate with him, and he gave him association, was trying to teach him Sanskrit, and in so many situations, Srila Prabhupada tolerated, so many, difficult situations for the benefit of the living entities. And Srila Prabhupada ends this purport with the following sentence: "Those who are under the influence of the illusory energy are attracted to fruitive activities. But a Vaishnava preacher attracts their hearts to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna." So the solution is, this is the solution Srila Prabhupada is giving here. Because in the verse Brahma says that this people who are under illusion, who are misguided or bewildered, one of the main reasons why they are bewildered is because they are attached to fruitive activities. They are very much attached to enjoy the results of their actions, and they have great expectation in the result of their actions. And for many people, the whole meaning of life is work. The whole meaning of life is work, and if you have no work, no occupation, people feel very bewildered, even more bewildered and confused what their meaning or aim in life is. So, to be active, to pursue some result is of course better than being lethargic, but still, those who are very much attached to certain, results of their actions, their motivation for activity remains within the material reality. So the idea that Srila Prabhupada is saying here is a Vaishnava preacher, his expertise should be to attract the hearts towards Krishna, to show them that the activities that you're performing, if you perform those activities for the pleasure of Krishna, they will have an even greater result. You will not only be materially fulfilled and satisfied, but ultimately also spiritually realized and fulfilled as well. So I don't want to make it much longer. So if you have any questions or comments, you can speak now. Otherwise, we will close the lecture. Grantharaj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. garland. Yes. Oh. Every Sunday, same day. Every Sunday, Abhishekam every Saturday. The Utsavamurti is Polish once a week on Saturday, and the Shalagram Shilas they get for Abhishekam every day. Many, because the garland also is from Shalagram. Okay. So once a week they also. I counted them once, more than 7. Yes. The Utsavamurti has like the right garland, one small and a little. Yeah. And the big one is this. You can see the lower part, the rest is covered by the garland. Lower is like this. This garland is always been working. Worship always.
So this is Narsimha Shalagram?
Yes, Narsimha Shalagram, and then the right side is Krishna Shalagram, Govinda, then Varaha, big Varaha, small Varaha, then big Mahasudarshan, and then left small Sudarshan, and then Antashisha. With a small Lakshmi. And Hanuman.